Welcome to the podcast. Today we will talk about um, how to reframe looking at a child who struggle, which is a very, very deep and important subject. And to do that, we have a guest. Scotti is coming with us to talk about that. So let's get to it and welcome Scotti over on the podcast. Welcome to Parenting the Intensity, where we'll talk all about how we can drop the general parenting advice that doesn't work with our emotionally intense kids anyway, and let go of the unrealistic expectations society puts on us as parents. Together, we'll find solutions and ideas that work for you and your kids. Chances are, deep down, you know what they need, but you need a little encouragement to keep going on harder days and permission to do things differently and help you fully trust that you already are a wonderful parent to your exceptional but challenging kids. Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed and uncertain when it comes to parenting your emotionally intense child? Do you often find yourself plagued with guilt, fearing that you're not doing enough to help them navigate their intense emotion? You are not alone. Many parents face these challenges and struggle to find the right path forward. But take a deep breath, there's hope. That's why I created the Parenting the Intensity community. Imagine having a clear roadmap tailored specifically to your child's unique needs and your family's reality. Picture feeling empowered and confident in your parenting, knowing that you are providing the support and understanding your child needs. It may seem like an unattainable dream right now, but I'm here to tell you that it is within reach. Come join us for our monthly group support to connect with other parents and get supported with your challenge right now. You also get one-on-one chat and audio office hours for the things that you're really not ready to share in the group, and workshop, tools, courses to help you in the process of finding that balance of parenting in a way that works for you, your child, and your family. So, welcome to the podcast. Welcome, Scotti. I'm really glad to have you over.
Thanks for having me.
So, can you start by introducing yourself and telling us a bit about why you do what you do?
Sure, I'm Scotti Weintraub, and I'm the founder of Reframe Parenting. And I'm also the mom of two teens. And when my oldest was entering school, we quickly realized that it wasn't going to be a very smooth ride for us. And we really struggled. And I spent a lot of time and effort trying to figure out how best to support him in school when it felt like nothing was working and everyone kept looking at me for information. I was just a parent.
Yes.
I needed support too, and I just didn't find what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
So through years of figuring it out and white knuckling it myself, I started sort of casually helping friends and their friends and realized that there's this ginormous need for parents to be able
Yes.
to find resources and information and help plan a strategy for how to support your kids in school. So
Mm-hmm.
I launched Reframe Parenting um, with this intention to really help parents figure out how the heck they can support their kids at school.
Yeah, I think that's really, really needed
Thank you.
from personal experience and
Yeah.
from so many clients and friends and yeah, so many people I know that are struggling to find how to help their kids in school because I mean, we're not there.
Exactly. Yeah,
And we're
and
not,
we're
most of
not.
us are not teachers, so it's
Most of
hard
us are
to.
not teachers, and I actually will tell you that most teachers that I talk to, and when it's your kid, it's different.
Yeah, yeah,
And so it's just a different dynamic. And I think parents deserve and desperately need more support in
yes,
helping their kids succeed.
yeah, definitely. And school is a big, big one, a very big
Hmm.
part. Like it's almost it's most time of the school year where like they're in school.
Right. And for many, many years.
Yeah. Yes.
And sometimes the problems that start small when they're early in elementary school can get bigger if we don't really
Yes,
figure them out.
definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Experienced that too. So we will be doing two episodes together because we had different topics to discuss. So today we will start with 4 ways to change our thinking about kids who struggle. And I really love that idea because we often or almost always, I don't love using always, but I think in this instance it's pretty much the case. We have a tendency to focus on the struggle, like the human brain is wired that way. So it's very hard to reframe that. So I really love that topic. So
Oh.
how would you do that?
Well, I'll just say that I started my business with this name, Reframe Parenting, with this kind of clear idea that if we think about our kids and their challenges in slightly different ways, if we kind of reframe the way we look at them, then it allows us to open doors instead of closing them. So we can
Yes.
think about things differently. We can maybe have a more open mind, and that helps us be more successful. So
Hmm.
that's why I named my business Reframe Parenting. And it's also sort of this, key concept that I talked about. Like, how are we going to reframe the way we see our kids?
Hmm.
And so I have a couple of ones that I like to talk about. The first being that we are not our kids. And I know this sounds kind of obvious, and I absolutely don't mean it to sound snarky either. Just it's when you're struggling with your child or something's happening that you're not sure how to deal with, it's really easy to fall back into your own experiences
Hmm.
as a child, as a student.
Hmm.
And when we get stuck in that place of, well, why can't they just get their homework done? I was able to get my homework done.
Hmm.
Like, they need to just buckle
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Or for
And
some parents, it's the opposite. Like some parents struggle themselves in school, and then you can feel your own experience as a child who struggle, I'm guessing too.
right, and then you're not able to see the full picture because you're
Hmm.
too trapped in the emotions of like, oh, I know how that feels, and it feels really not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I think if we get too trapped in those, like, where our kids' experiences, then we don't, we're not actually able to see what actually is going on.
Hmm.
We can't take that, proverbial step back
Yes.
and
Yes.
kind of look with some more perspective, which is hard as a parent,
Yes.
when you're
Definitely.
in the middle of everything.
Yeah. And it's very emotional. And when we see them, they might be sad or they might be angry, and it gets to us as parents, of course.
Right, right. Um, and kind of along with that, is that the more that we learn as about ourselves, the better we can support them. And I've had parents say to me, oh, I didn't realize that I was going to have to do work on myself. And that feels really hard, right? Like, no one wants to
True.
say, like, and I also don't mean to say that, we're the source or the cause of any of the challenges that our kids have, because I absolutely don't believe that.
No.
But how we respond to them
Hmm.
is our work,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
How and I know you talk a lot about this because you talk a lot about staying calm, right?
Hmm.
And in these challenging situations, and if we can't do that ourselves, then we can't be our best advocate
Yeah.
for our
And
child.
it's so hard. I mean, it's supposed to be that simple thing. You just stay calm, but the
Right.
justice is it
Well,
should
that
not be there.
sounds really easy, doesn't it?
Yes, it's so not easy.
I don't know, maybe you have more tricks or tips around that particular thing, but I think that it's just hard sometimes.
Yes.
But it also, like, admitting that I need to work on this myself. Actually, I think it's challenging, but it's also a little freeing. Like,
Hmm.
oh, I can try to do something myself. I don't
Hmm.
have to expect all the work to be from them.
Hmm. Yeah, and you have control on what you do, much
Right,
less on what
right.
they do.
Yeah, well, as you know, as a parent, we have very little control over over our kids, right?
Yes.
And sometimes that feels very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. And in school, it's even worse because we have basically zero control of what's happening.
Right. And it's not just that we don't have any control, as you mentioned before, it's that we are not there,
Yeah.
right? So when we're not there, it leaves us really very much in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know the schedule. We don't know what the expectations are. As your kids get older, too, there are multiple teachers that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, it gets tricky too, because it's communicating with a whole bunch of different people,
Mm-hmm.
and they all have very different, styles and expectations. And they we can't just work with one individual teacher like you can when our kids are younger.
Yeah, yeah. It's
It kind
it's
of
it's much
spreads the
more
burden out, right?
yeah, much more complicated.
Right.
Okay. So you were saying like the first basically is to realize that we need to work on ourselves. You say that's the first reframe?
Well, I don't know if we need to put them in any particular order. I just think it's an easy place to start.
Yeah, true.
If you're feeling like overwhelmed, if you're feeling like I have no idea what to do,
Mm-hmm.
uh, starting looking at what you can do for yourself is somewhere to begin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what would be the others?
Well, I mean, we just talked about the not your kid. We're not, oh, excuse me,
Yes.
we are
Yes.
not our kids,
Yeah.
right? So that one also does a little bit of like the internal work
Mm-hmm.
of figuring out how we can have the most perspective, have a clear head, be the best, you know, that we can be for our kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And understanding their perspective of the situation instead of placing
Yeah.
ours.
Yes. Well, and this is a tricky one too, because um, it's, as you know, kids are not always the best at gauging, what's happening for them. So,
Yes.
and that's a developmental thing.
Yeah,
That's
it's just normal.
yeah, that's a normal thing, but it's a frustrating thing as a parent
Mm-hmm.
to not be able to know what's happening is really, really challenging. So I like to tell people that curiosity is our friend. So this is another one of my reframes,
Mm-hmm.
that if we lead with curiosity and we approach our kids' struggles with a sense of, I, I wonder what's happening. And that's actually my favorite phrase. I wonder. Because if we start with I wonder, it takes
Mm-hmm.
all of the weight out of it, right? Like all of
Yeah.
um the burden or the judgment. It's just a casual inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
Huh,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what's happening with that. Um, you know, if, for instance, your child is not turning in their schoolwork, you might turn that into, I wonder what's happening with him. I wonder why he's not turning in his homework, rather than jumping first to judgment. Why can't
Mm-hmm.
he turn his homework in?
Yeah. Yeah. The wonder and the why are wildly different. Wildly
Right.
different.
So we're just leaving more room for us to gather information. So
Mm-hmm.
we're not coming at everything from a judgment place. We're saying like, okay, we're just gonna dig down and see what's happening.
Yeah. I
And
often
at
use,
school,
yeah, I've used the term like saying playing detective with what's happening.
yes,
So it's the same concept. Yeah, definitely.
yes, yeah, it's the
Yeah.
getting at and I know you're on the same page with me on this too, that's like what's behind the behavior.
Yeah.
And it's and at school, it's why aren't they able to meet this expectation?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they getting distracted?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they having a hard time staying on top of all of their assignments?
Mm-hmm.
So rather than leading with the punishment or the judgment, we can just get curious, and then in that way we are opening up a conversation with the teacher for sure, because we're
Mm-hmm.
not coming at it like with guns blazing, saying like, oh my goodness, my kid is so far behind and I don't know what to do. We're coming
Yes.
at it from a like, oh, well, what are you seeing happening?
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then then it opens you up to collaboration.
Yeah, definitely more than if you go in and accuse of something. The teacher is not going to be open for much
No,
collaboration.
no one likes to be accused of things right after that, right? Like
Nope.
no matter what your relationship is, everyone wants to feel like, oh, you're coming to me, with kindness, with openness.
Yeah.
And I think it's true too in talking with your kids.
Yeah. So it applies to everyone basically.
Mhm. And then the other one that I think is really important, is that whatever is going on with our kids, whether that's challenges in school, challenges at home, or if they're behavioral or they're having mental health struggles, whatever that is not a reflection on us and our
Mm,
parenting.
that's a big one.
It's a huge one. And I wish, I would say, I wish I could put it on a billboard, because I think it's like so important and
Yes.
everybody needs to hear it. When
Yes.
you have a kid who's struggling, it feels as if everyone else's kids are not struggling.
Mm-hmm.
It feels as if you're the only one, as if somehow you did something wrong.
Yeah.
And that's just simply not true.
Yeah. The guilt is all encompassing. It's so present and the judgment is coming so often too. So it adds on the guilt.
Yeah, and we live in this time where, people are putting up their perfect family life on Instagram, and it's
Every
hard to
holidays.
not and not and to feel like, oh, I can't even get my kid to turn in their homework, but yet everybody else's kids are, on the honor roll. But that's not actually true.
No,
Like,
it's not. It just feels that way because people
it's
that are struggling are not posting that most of the time.
right, right. Or they're too busy trying to deal with what's happening to have any
Exactly.
time to deal with it.
Yes, if that's true. And it's not something and for the child's privacy too. I mean, you don't
Oh, absolutely.
this like it's that is a completely other topic, but some kids have their entire life on social and it will be a challenge when they get older for sure.
It
So
will,
it's okay to
it
not
certainly,
share, but
it certainly will be.
it makes it for that we see mostly what's going well because people don't want
Yes.
to share what's for many reasons we don't share what's going not so well. So yeah, it definitely feel isolating.
And also that and for those kids too, it can be isolating. I mean, it certainly is for
Hmm.
parents. But I always think about the fact that kids who are neurodiverse or kids who have a hard time in school, they get so much negative feedback.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just constant,
Hmm.
and so if, part of that, like reframing how we interact with those challenges and with those situations, also reminds us that we don't want to feed into that negativity for our kids.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if we can focus on what are some of their strengths and building those strengths, or um, focus on helping them, you know, find opportunities to gain self-esteem and activities that are better suited for them, or settings where they can shine,
Hmm.
I think that helps negate some of that,
Yeah.
because it's a lot.
Yeah. And the same way that we might feel it's a reflection on our parenting, they feel they're bad most of the time. That
Oh, I know.
they've been told so many times that they are not doing the right thing that they feel that they are the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, and I don't, as a parent, want to be contributing to that.
Hmm.
And so I try hard. I mean, no one is perfect, myself
No.
very much included. And, but if, at least if we can have it like in the front of our brain and think, okay, I'm going to try to see the positive in this situation. I'm going to try to ask those questions instead of leading with judgment. That just makes those interactions actually with your kid, it takes some of that weight off of those too.
Hmm. Yeah,
Not everything
definitely.
has to be a conflict. Like you can work together with them. Even with young kids, you can work together with them
Yeah.
to find a solution to figure out what's going on. And it doesn't have to always be, a battle.
No, and it's so much more um not necessarily easier, but like it's so much more positive to do that with them instead of trying to solve the problem by ourselves. Because sometimes even if we are curious, we might be running around in circle and not really finding what to do or what's happening or
Right. Yeah. And we don't want to be unsuccessful as parents. That doesn't feel good. So the more that we, I think, can try to set ourselves up for success, also sets them up for success.
definitely. Yeah. And the fact that we feel it's our fault makes it that often we feel we have no control, we feel kind of powerless in this situation. And that is a control that we have. Like being able to give our kids some confidence and some positive feedback is something that we can do. So it's great to have
Yeah.
some like actionable things we can do.
Right. Yeah. This parenting thing is never easy.
No.
Yes. So I agree with you. But I think that the intent of these reframes is to help people take a step back and
Hmm.
say, okay, deep breath. What's going on here? That's not, I'm not going to take it on personally, but we're going to look at it from, a detective with their detective
Yes.
hats on, or with more of an analyzing of what the situation is. And
Hmm.
then from there, we can start strategizing about, okay, well, what's our next step then?
Hmm. And I think that ties really well to the first one that you were saying, like, it's not us, it's our kids. It's a different person because if you don't take that step back, you're too personally involved and you cannot reflect or analyze the situation with maybe less a calmer head, I would say. Like it's
Yeah,
easier.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it brings up a lot of stuff for people around how they were parented, or what those, as we've
Hmm.
talked about, the societal pressures of how we're
Yes.
supposed to do things, which I think can feel really strong.
Yes.
And so coming up against all of that, if you can just take a deep breath and say, like, okay, what is our biggest goal, right? This is what I often say, like, what is our big goal? Our big goal in all of this, at school or at home, is to, bring our kids through their childhood and onto the other side as healthy, critical thinking adults.
Hmm.
So how do we help them be their best selves on the other side of their childhood? Um, it's something I keep, especially because I have a kid. My oldest just turned 18, so I'm very much thinking about this.
For
But that
sure.
is our bigger goal, right? Our goal is not to
Yes.
make them into mini me's.
No, no.
We want them to succeed and thrive for who they are.
Yes, definitely. And sometimes it's hard to take that step back and especially because we all have dreams for what our kids would be doing
Oh,
and so often that's not happening especially with
yeah.
emotionally intense kids their path is going to be wildly different.
Yes, and I think in school in particular is a really sensitive place for parents because
Yeah.
we all have these dreams. And I spoke to a parent not too long ago who said, "But I have this dream for my child to go, to do these high
Mm-hmm.
achieving things and go to, major university. And while I'm not saying we shouldn't push our kids to be successful, a little, but I think there's a balance
Yeah.
between who is your child, like who are they really?
Mm-hmm.
Are they wanting to do those things? Are they
Yes.
capable of doing those things? Are they even, does that even make sense for where they are now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
And they can succeed in a different way.
yes. So that's the being open, right? The
Mm-hmm.
reframing, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
their future is going to look different than I expect. Maybe their schooling is going to look not like the honor roll in all AP classes, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean they cannot be happy and functioning adults.
Right. They can be a happy functioning adult, um, who knows how their brain works, who seeks out, experiences that are interesting for them, and, builds a life that is theirs.
Mm-hmm. And it's also a part of the reframe, I would say, to see
Mhm.
seeing that they will do something different.
Right.
Yeah. So can you recap for us the
Okay.
four reframe before
Okay.
we finish?
Okay, sure. Sure. One is that we're not our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can, keep that in mind, it helps us really see them for who they are. Second one was that the more we learn, and grow ourselves, the better able we are to help them do the same.
Mm-hmm.
The third one was leading with curiosity and asking those I wonder questions to kind of be a detective and figure out what's happening instead of just reacting. And the fourth and important one is that whatever our kids' struggles are not a reflection of us as parents.
Yes. Yes. So thank you for summing that up.
Oh, you're welcome.
So if parents want more support with their relation with the school that their kids is going to, where can they find you?
Yes, well, they can find me. My website is just reframeparenting.com. And you can also find me on Instagram at Reframe Parenting. Um, and I also answer all my emails. I'm a one-person shop. So if you want to just drop me a note, I'm happy to respond there too. It's just Scotti at reframeparenting.com.
Great. Great. So thank you very much for that. And is there a resource that is not yours that you would like to share with the listeners?
Well, it's because we were speaking about this idea of, figuring out what's underneath the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I think if folks don't know about Dr. Ross Green,
Yeah.
he changed the way I saw myself as a parent and the way I saw my kids. And his work, I think his website is Lives in the Balance,
Mm-hmm.
is just fundamental to this idea that behavior is communication
Yeah.
and kids do well when they can. So I always recommend his stuff.
Yes, definitely. Good one. I think but surprisingly, I think you're only the second guest to talk about Ross Green.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm
I would
glad to give
expect
him
more
another
people
chance.
to talk about
Yeah,
that, but
it's
and
good
it's
stuff.
interesting because you're talking about his website, and I think the other one talked about the book. So
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, his books are also excellent. I
yeah.
particularly with regards to school, I think his Lost at School book
Oh,
is really, really good. And I have even given it to teachers and administrators. It sort of talks about, well, what happens when we don't address these things going on with kids and they fall through the
oh,
cracks. And that's not what we want.
no, that's really great. I didn't know that book, you see, so that's
Okay,
great.
great.
Thank you for adding that. So thank you very much for being here.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you joined me today and took that time out of your intense life to focus on finding a new way to parent that works for you and your kids. To get the episodes as soon as they drop, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. And please leave a rating and review so other parents can find it too. Also, check out all the free resources on my website at familymoments.ca. so you can take action on what's the most important for you right now. And take a deep breath, keep going. We're all in this together.